Two men journey to the bars and restaurants of Scandinavia to find amazing beers, always with the same question.
Hey, what's on tap?
It's time to find out.
All right, welcome to What's on Tap podcast. And we are going to, once again, do beer reviews.
Do beer reviews?
Yes.
We've never done that before.
It sounds fresh and original, something that we haven't done before
Super fresh.
in our 7 years of podcasting. So I'm your host, Stefan.
I'm your host, Martin.
We don't really introduce ourselves enough.
No.
If ever. Rarely. Like once every 50 episodes, we're like, we should probably tell people who we are. Because we just assume at this point, after 7 years and so many episodes, that people know who we are.
Yeah.
But,
and that our listeners are loyal
intimately
fans.
Familiar, exactly.
They're
intimately familiar with our works.
There are literally dozens of them.
I know. I saw in a beer news article that like some Swedish podcast celebrated 100 episodes recently.
Whoa.
And I'm like, wow, good for them. They've only got a couple of hundred more before they get close to where we are.
Exactly.
So, suck it.
Suck it.
But congratulations on whoever they were. I don't remember the name of the podcast now, but congratulations on them because I mean, so many podcasts start with the best of intentions and then fall apart after like 5 to 20 episodes.
Right. I researched this a while back, and I think we're the second oldest beer podcast that's still running.
Yeah.
And the one that's older than us, they have like 60 episodes.
Oh, okay. So they're not even a regular. They just put out an episode a year or something.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
No, but something like that, like 8 episodes a year. But their format is different. They have much longer episodes.
Yeah.
Whatever. We are bite-sized.
Right. I mean, the whole point of this isn't to do like an. Can you imagine sitting for an hour talking about 2 beers? I would be tired of listening to us at that point.
We would need serious guests that can carry the conversation.
Well, we'd have to have more topics. We'd have to be like talking about like movies and pop culture, and then it would become less about the beer and more about like other things happening. And
no, we are more of a snack.
Exactly, we are bite sized.
Yes.
The time it takes you to drink a beer is the time it takes you to listen to one of our episodes.
That's a good.
That's how we have it planned.
Yes.
So
and today the theme is Poland.
Yes, and I know no Polish, so I can't even pretend to speak any Polish.
Jak się masz?
If you say so. you could do making up sounds.
Yes.
Like Balky from Perfect Strangers in the 80s.
So I brought both of these beers. One is from a web shop and one is from Systembolaget. And I think the first one, I'm not sure it's going to be very good.
So this is from Hot Notch, which is a Swedish brewery.
Yes.
We teamed up with our friends from the Polish brewery Browar. What's it called? Nepomucen. To craft this smooth, juicy, hoppy double New England IPA, brewed with one of our favorite hops, Azacca. For some extra fun, we poured in a dash of peaches. That would explain the smell, because I was like, wait, what are we drinking here? Yeah. And blood orange to add to the fruity tropical notes from the hops, giving it a lovely kiss of peaches. I thought this was an IPA, and then I smelled it and I went, huh? Is this a fruited sour? What are we drinking here? And then it comes in at a 8.5% ABV.
Let's start with this one. It doesn't really look like a New England. It looks like an unfiltered West Coast.
Yeah. And when you smell it, you think, oh, it must be a sour, an unfiltered sour beer of some sort. Because it smells kind of like peach jam.
Yes.
It's very...
But it's a pretty fun
It's
aroma.
very peachy and it's very jammy in the smell. Like I said, it smells like you just opened a can of peach preserves or peach jelly or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, yeah, I want some toast.
It has more potential than I originally thought.
Yeah, this was. It's when I smelled it, I was like, I don't know what this is. Is this a sour? And it was like, nope, New England IPA. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a choice.
Definitely taste the fruits that they blended in. The IPA aspects are totally getting lost here.
So confused. So for the smell to be so clean and so decisive, the flavor is just kind of like stuff.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff here. I also sense some things.
There are a lot of things and there's a lot of stuff here. You're right. At first you're like, wait, is it an IPA? And then you're like, Not really, but there's some fruity notes as well. It's a really confused beer.
Yeah, the initial flavor tastes nothing like IPA.
No, it doesn't really taste anything like fruit either.
No.
You would think the peaches would really come through in this kind of like hoppy, peachy, jammy kind of, but nope, you don't get any of that. I think the Azacca is a little too bitter for this. I don't think they picked the right hops. I think that if they'd gone with the New Zealand hops, it would have complemented the peaches more.
Yeah.
And the mandarin or tangerine or
it's not a clean marriage.
But I think the Azacca is a little dirtier kind of hops, and it kind of fights against the fruitiness.
Yeah.
This is a confused beer.
I think they went for an experiment. I don't know what niche this one is supposed to fill.
Yeah, fruited IPA is not really a style. You don't see people attempting it very often.
No.
You don't even really see white IPAs anymore now that I think about it.
They're quite rare now.
Yeah, that's a style that's coming on, thankfully.
This would be replaced by cold.
I'm gonna say we have cold IPA now, so that's a replacement. And again, it's not really. I think white IPA was a better version.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not it's a valiant effort, but it is not a good beer.
If this had been a sour, I think the peaches would have had a much better time.
Yeah. I think in different hops, the peaches would have had a better time.
Yeah, I agree.
But this is a kind of a mess.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I applaud Hop Knots for their attempt to do something out of the box, something different, but this didn't get there.
No, and I do enjoy collaborations across country borders. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Swedish-Polish beer collab. That's fun. This particular one just doesn't nail it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give this. You're going to give this a much higher rating than me. Because I'm going to give it a 2.
Yeah, and I'm at like a 2.5.
Really? All right. I thought you were going to be closer to 3. It
has multiple personalities and they're fighting.
Yeah, it's just not a beer that you want to drink more of after the initial taste.
No.
Because I've had some bad, IPAs. I'm like, well, it's drinkable at least. And for this, I'm kind of like, this is questionable at best.
Yeah, we really don't want more of it.
No. But moving forward,
the next one has much more potential. It's a beer from Funky Fluid, Polish brewery, and it's called Birthday Cake Imperial Stout Funky Garden 8.
Yes. So wait, before you tell me what the adjuncts are in this thing.
Yes. Let me just say that it's a collab between Funky Fluid and Maltgarden that we both thought was non-Polish, but is Polish.
Like I said, I told you it was Polish, but I always think it's Danish for some reason. Yes. But they are a Polish brewery.
And it's a 10.3 ABV.
All right, so when I smell this, I'm going to say there's vanilla. There's coffee. There's definitely some chocolate in there.
Are you looking for... So they only list what they feel it tastes like.
Okay.
The ingredient list doesn't include anything.
Any adjuncts?
No.
There's like a little marzipan in here. I mean, it's... So how do they describe it?
So it contains barley malt, rye malt, flaked oats, lactose, and maltodextrin. Okay. Period.
All right.
I think they only...
There's no way this beer only contains those ingredients.
These are just like the allergens.
Yeah.
This is the 8th beer brewed on the occasion of Maltgarden's birthday. And it is a full-bodied imperial stout that tastes chocolate, coconut, caramel, carob, cinnamon, coffee, milk sugar, and vanilla.
I got quite a few of those in there. A couple of them I wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah. And the label is beautiful. It's this skull on a cake platter smoking.
Yeah.
The cake is almost completely eaten.
What is carob?
I don't know.
Okay. That was only I was like, sure, it can smell like that. I don't get coconut on the nose.
Carob is a plant.
I guess there is coconut. I'm kind of confusing it with
it is a marzipan. It is a legume.
Okay, so it's a peanut.
Carob is a flowering evergreen tree or shrub in the whatever family.
Any idea what it tastes like?
Carob sweets.
It's like a chocolate substitute or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when I was thinking of marzipan as a coconut, so when you say that, I'm like, okay, I get that. And then, what was the other thing? Caramel is just sweetness. There's nothing there. Cinnamon. I didn't get cinnamon, but I got coffee. All right, so I feel pretty good about nailing most of the smells in this.
Yep, it does smell really good.
It smells like when we opened the can, I was just from sitting away from the glass and then pouring the beer, I was like, oh, I can smell the chocolate and the vanilla and the other aromas coming off of this thing. So let's
cheers.
Some good mouthfeel. It's kind of nice. There's some bitterness to it. Not as sweet as I thought it was going to be.
Cinnamon is really hitting me strong right now. So I'm missing it, and the chocolate is much darker chocolate in the flavor than it is in the aroma.
Yeah.
So it's a quite bitter, abrasive, dark, almost powdery flavor.
Yeah, it's like a bitter, like an 80% kind of chocolate.
Yes.
Kind of bitterness to it. The cinnamon is definitely coming in there. The coconut is a little bit lost, but then you have the milk sugar and the vanilla and the that are really giving some nice sweetness to the end of it.
Yeah.
Coconut, I think, is pretty much lost. I think the coffee is pretty much lost. I get some
coconut.
I mean, it's a little, but it's not as much as I would like to see. And the coffee is kind of, for me, completely lost in this.
Yeah. Maybe it's attributing to this. I'm actually having difficulties describing it other than powdery.
Yeah.
Like a very dry.
Yeah, it's a very, very dry. It finishes very dry, very clean kind of flavor.
But that's the same way I would describe the aftertaste of an 80% chocolate.
Mm-hmm. The mouthfeel is not like Omnipolo motor oil thickness, but it's nice. It's a little thinnish, but it's still very drinkable.
I agree.
Carbonation, I wish was a little higher on this one. So whenever I have a thinner stout, I want the carbonation to be a little higher because I think it balances it more. But it's very drinkable. It's very good. It doesn't present as, what do you say, 10%?
No, 10 point. Yeah, exactly, 10 point something.
10.3. It doesn't present as 10.3. It drinks super easy. In some ways, I almost think it was a milk stout, but it's not, thankfully.
Yeah, I said that the skull was smoking, but it's not. It's one of those tweet.
It's
blowing the horn.
It's one of those horn paper things that streams out. Yeah, but there is a candle on his head which is smoking.
Yes, the skull is part of the birthday cake.
I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah, you're hitting that glass pretty hard. I think is that to figure out the flavors, or
it is because there's a lot of flavors going on there, and I'm trying to really figure out what I think about the beer because it's on two levels. There's part of me that really likes it, and there's part of me that's like not quite loving it as much as I want to. Yeah. And I can't quite decide which level that is that I'm at. Am I at the?
I think the base beer is actually pretty solid. They should have dialed back the cinnamon and the dark chocolate, and let some of the coconut in more.
Yeah,
I think both would have given it a much higher rating.
Yeah. So what are you giving this?
I'm gonna give it a week 4 actually.
I'm gonna give it a strong 3.75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the same.
Yeah, we're in the same ballpark here. It was almost a 4. Yeah. I think, like I said, if the carbonation had been a little bit more, it would have given it some richness. I think that it's a more body that I think it's lacking. Overall, I think the flavors are good. They're trying to do a lot, and it doesn't hit all of those notes. But I mean, it's hard to have so many kind of flavors that they're presenting to hit all of those moments. So they could have, say, maybe skipped a couple of like the caramel and the coconut kind of stuff, and just really focused on a nice chocolate, coffee, vanilla, beer, and I think it would have been a better
I think so
selection.
too. This might also have an aspect of expectation problem with it, because Funky Fluid does make some good imperial stouts.
Yeah.
And this is one of their weaker ones, which makes it... So when I see Funky Fluid and imperial stout, I actually have higher expectations, because they've managed to do some good stuff lately. Especially their waxed bottle series has been surprisingly good.
Yeah, I think when they first came out, I thought they were just an okay brewery. Like, they had the potential to be better, and I think they've really honed their craft, and they've gotten much, much better over the last year or so.
Yeah, especially fruited sours, thick fruited sours.
Yeah, oh my god, that's really their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, their stouts have been pretty good, and I think this is, again, it's a decent beer. Definitely not disappointed with it. So, yeah, if you see a can, I would say pick it up for sure.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Poland is getting a craft beer, a new wave of craft beer.
Yeah, I mean, there's several microbreweries and nanobreweries and things like that are producing some really good craft beers out of Poland these days. It's going to be I think in the next 5 years, it's going to really emerge as a huge beer scene going forward.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you my anecdote. I was on a Poland trip. This is about 2014 or 15, and ended up just finding a food and beer festival in a square, trying some local foods and some beers. And there weren't a lot of beers. There were a lot of these local breweries having their pilsners and whatever. And there was one importer's wrong. He was an exporter, and he had bottles of craft beer. And I remember it was Pinta. You remember Pinta?
Yeah.
And I tried some
They're
beers.
still around.
Yeah, definitely. Tried some of the beers, walked 2 meters away from the booth, drank, and with my travel partner I said, it tastes kind of like, this is probably American hops, like Amarillo. And we hear from the booth, how do you know about Amarillo hops? And we move back, and this guy's like, no one who comes to my booth knows anything about American hops. Like, who are you? We're beer nerds.
It's like, strangers, what are you doing in this strange land?
We're beer nerds from Sweden. Oh, wow. It's like, because everyone who came to his booth was just looking for the classical amber lagers or whatever. And he was fighting an uphill battle trying to peddle these American hopped IPAs.
That's difficult. I mean, I do understand in these traditional beer cities, like Poland, like Eastern Europe, where it's almost all pilsners and lagers and things like that, to bring in these new styles can be quite an uphill challenge. I think it's one of the reasons why, say, something like China's had such a hard time of getting new styles into circulation. China drinks more beer than basically any country in the world. I mean, they're huge. The number one selling brand in the world is only sold in China.
Snow.
Yeah, and it doesn't export. So a lot of people drink a lot of beer in the country, but they only want cheap lager.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, but I carry that memory with me. Like,
of course,
he heard us. How do you know about Amarillo? That was like a keyword to a subculture in Poland that no one knew about.
It's like someone said Amarillo. He's like, wait, what? What was that? What? Who said that? You. What'd you just say? You're like, Amarillo?
How do you know about Amarillo hops?
Sorry, I drink a lot of beer.
No, but Poland is a country to keep your eyes on when it comes to craft beer in the coming 5 years.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for bringing these. It was fun to try both of them, and I always love trying beers from all over the place, so it's always good to get more of those. So you can find us online at What's on Tap Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you can find quality podcast, we'll be amongst the mix.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah. So until next time,
keep drinking, you dum-dums.